everybody, and welcome to another episode of Never Seen It. This is a podcast about movies that we haven't seen yet. I'm your host today. My name is Trent. I'm sitting here, as always, with Betsy.
Hello, Trent.
Betsy, we have reached the end of another series of Oscar movies. 5 years in a row we've been doing this.
We've been doing it longer, but this is the 5th year for the podcast.
For a podcast,
yes.
Of course. Because if you guys were not around 5 years ago when Betsy and I started this entire process, well, welcome. But yeah, we've been doing this quite a long time. But even prior to this, just to go down a rabbit hole here right out of the gate, for like close to 10 years now, Betsy and I have watched every single Best Picture nominee, save for like 2 or 3 that were never available to us prior to when the Oscars actually were on the air.
Yeah, I think we've watched every single one 10 years in a row, but we tried doing it a few years in a row before that. We got close, but we never could quite manage it because living in South Dakota, sometimes movies are hard to come by. Specifically, some, let's say, international movies like the one we're going to be watching today.
Yes, to get on track here, we're going to be watching a movie called I'm Still Here. Now, this movie kind of came out of nowhere in the fact that, okay, the main actress from this movie has been getting nominated for Best Actress in a lot of different awards shows, including the Academy Awards.
Yeah, pre-Golden Globes, I had never heard of this person.
I never heard of this person, and honestly, before this got nominated for Best Picture, I had never even heard of this movie, because I don't even remember being on like, okay, these are the movies on a list that everybody's been talking about. I don't even remember that.
Ones to watch, as it were.
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of keep forgetting the name of this movie, I'm Still Here, because it's a normal phrase.
It's also the same name as that movie that Joaquin Phoenix did where he was like super nuts.
Is it exactly the same?
I'm Still Here is the name of that movie.
Fuck.
And
I'm sorry.
It didn't occur to me until I looked into it and confirmed it. I was like, oh yeah, that's what that movie was called. We've never watched that one.
No.
But it does exist in somewhere in my headspace.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to have a completely different vibe to this movie.
It has nothing to do with this movie.
So, Betsy, why don't you tell our listeners, what do you know about I'm Still Here 2024 edition?
Yeah, this movie is getting pushed really, really hard and campaigned really, really hard and smartly by the people of Brazil. This is their international picture nominee. And as we've had many years in a row now, there is a movie that is nominated for Best International Feature Film and Best Picture. It gets into both because the quality of the film is such, enough people saw it and nominated it in both categories.
And I think there was enough of just a fervor around Parasite when that movie won not only Best International Film, but also Best Picture. I think the response to that was so positive that the Academy just went, oh, you guys actually like this stuff, don't you? How about we get some really good movies in here?
We can do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've actually been pleasantly surprised by a lot of them the last few years. I wouldn't go so far as to say we loved all of them, but there have definitely been ones that we didn't know about until it got nominated for Best Picture. And then we ended up really liking. But coming back to this one, yes, it is an entry from Brazil. It is about historical events. It's not a real story as far as I'm aware, but it is about the time and place, the historic events that are happening framed within this movie. In Brazil, in the 1970s, it was a really fucking terrible place to live because the government was like, I don't know, it was like a military situation. I'm not really sure. All I know is this woman's husband gets taken in for questioning and he is never seen again.
I don't know, Betsy, because this is a Brazilian government story. I am not a Brazil government historian.
All I know is it wasn't a great place. There was like I don't know if it's a police state.
There was an uprising, there was a coup, there could be all sorts of different things that could have happened.
People were disappearing. The government was silencing people who they wanted to silence. I don't really know. This is what I'm gleaning, just what I've heard about the movie and what I've understood from the trailer. But it starts in the 1970s, and I think it goes pretty close to present day.
Yeah, because there's a moment in this movie where it cuts to an old woman, and presumably it is this actress as an older woman. And honestly, besides all the stuff that you just mentioned here, I don't know anything else. I think it is a movie about defiance and fuck you to the people who are trying to put us down. We will fight in the streets, and you will never get to us, basically.
And I'm still here and I'm not going away
Yeah.
until I get some fucking answers. That is the mood I get from this. What actually happens in the course of the movie? No clue. I have no idea. These last two movies, Nickel Boys and I'm Still Here, this is like the most unfamiliar with movies I have been in a really long time because they just are not playing in our town, and I don't really know a whole lot of people who have seen them.
Yeah.
And the internet discourse has not been really loud about these movies.
I think it's honestly, it is just because this movie has not been distributed very, very widely. And that's the reason nobody's talking about it. But the people who know. So I'm trusting the Academy. I'm trusting the people who have put this up as one of the best movies that came out last year. And by most accounts, this main actress here is phenomenal.
And we haven't said her name yet. I think is it Fernanda Torres?
I think you're right.
And I'm very close, if not correct. But that's, again, I just don't know for sure because I haven't spent a lot of time with this movie.
Well, Betsy, I think it's time. Let's go and watch I'm Still Here. We will be right back. And that was I'm Still Here, movie 10 of 10 of the 2024 Oscar season. Betsy, what did you think of that one?
That's what you call a quiet drama. I think I liked it. I don't know if I loved it. By the end, I was crying. So, I mean, that's probably a good sign. I don't really know what to think about this one, if I'm being honest. We were kind of listening back to our intro just now because we had to record it in advance and move some things around because in the grand tradition of this movie, it was really, really hard to see, even down to the 11th hour when the movie we were going to go see got canceled and we had to go to a different time.
Yeah.
All that to say, we finally got to see this movie. And in the intro, I said, oh, I don't think it's based on a real story. Apparently it is.
Yeah.
And so much of this would be better served for me if I knew anything about Brazil, if I knew anything about the military coup that took over and there was a military dictatorship. I had to read about this after the movie. It lasted for 21 years. That this is a real person. This really happened to her husband. She was just a thorn in the side of the government for years trying to get some fucking answers.
Yeah, that's our wonderful American education system rearing its head about something that seems to be kind of important in this hemisphere's history, but I never knew anything about this.
No, especially considering that the military coup was supported by the U.S. government. Fun fact.
Yeah. So
we're sort of responsible for making this possible.
Another thing that we can look up later, but I'm kind of there with you. I think this movie is the main actress, Fernanda Torres, I think her name is. This movie is all surrounding her and the things that she was going through and just her strength as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, just her strength in general as a person. She had to go through fucking hell to raise her 5 children on her own after her husband was basically kidnapped in broad daylight, out from under her nose.
He was straight up disappeared, and then everybody denied it ever happened.
Yeah, and
they gaslit the hell out of her.
Yeah, they were living in this government, for lack of a better word, for like 5-6 years at this point. He used to be a congressman.
The husband.
The husband used to be a congressman. And my understanding of what this whole situation was is that the existing government was disbanded. This guy who was a congressman was ousted. He is no longer in any kind of power, and the people in charge were basically grasping onto whatever power that they could for the first few years of their reign. And the next steps are basically taking anybody out who was a threat to them, at least a threat of them coming back and being a resistance force.
Yeah, he was literally exiled. There was a lot of this going around in like the 1950s and 60s in different countries, specifically in South America. I know
Central
of a few,
and South America, yeah.
Central and South America. There was a lot of this going on where they're just like, get rid of the government and start again, and usually in a really hostile way. So he was in the government and said, I oppose this. And because he opposed it and they were successful in taking over, he basically got kicked out of the country, but then was allowed to come back.
Well, he was also working in the shadows, like when the wife goes and meets with his coworker, he basically reveals, yeah, me and like 4 other guys were helping the resistance forces and helping the families of the people who were also disappeared in this process. But I guess they found out about what he was doing and they got rid of him.
Because here's the thing about anytime you take over where you were not elected, you had to force your way in, that is always going to be a fragile state of power.
Totally.
Because you do not have the support of everybody everywhere. There's always going to be people who oppose you. And who better to go after with your paranoia than the people who you know opposed you, the people who said, we don't want this to happen loudly and publicly because they were in office. And he's shown here saying, why are you calling me congressman? I haven't been that in 6 years. I'm just a guy now. He's like an engineer. Like
he's a civil engineer. He like builds fucking bridges.
And he's planning to build a new house for his family because they have 5 kids and they have rapidly outgrown this space.
Right.
That's what's concerning him right now. But he's keeping it on the down low, like he's not going to give up fighting against this regime. And the way they set it up in the movie, I actually do like the fact that at the beginning, he and his family, they're just living their lives. They live in Rio de Janeiro, right by the beach. And these kids have this like glowing, warm, fantastic life where they just go to the beach every day.
It's a daily occurrence. They literally just go across the street and the beach is there.
And it's such like a nice place to grow up, and they've got all these friends, and the parents have friends coming over, and there's always people at the house.
Yeah, it's a constant party.
It's very 1970s, very much like that time, evoking like a lot of the feelings of that era. But meanwhile, in the background, there is this kind of growing tension that's always there, kind of closing in on them. And they're just sort of happily existing within it, because what else can you do? When you live in a country like this, what are you gonna do if your government has been completely overthrown and you just live there?
Yeah, and I think they're doling it out here very slowly with the stuff on the news about the ambassadors. So these guys who are in power, I think, have been kidnapping these ambassadors from other countries, holding them for ransom, and the ransom is release political prisoners from jail. And now that I think about it, it might have even been the other way. I'm not even sure who's doing the kidnapping here, if it's the resistance forces or if it's the people now in power.
Yeah,
I honestly don't even know.
Military.
I don't know. But either way, public officials are being targeted at the very least. So these kids, knowing that their dad was a public official and still probably works for the government in some way, being a civil engineer, it's very possible that they fear that because he was a former congressman, maybe they will come after him eventually. And there's also this other couple who is moving from Rio to London, and they're trying to get them and their family to try to come with them because of all of the upheaval happening in the country.
Yeah, they're getting while the getting is good.
Yeah, and
they're just like, let's go before they fucking shut it down, because some of these governments, they lock the door and don't let anyone in or out. You know, people can't even leave. So right now, you can at least get in and out of this country. We're going to London because it's dangerous for us here and we don't like the way the country's going. And we really think it'd be a good idea for all of you to come with.
Yeah, and I don't really know if that other family has any children of their own to bring with them. I imagine that that's really what it is. Hey man, I got 5 kids. You really want me to pull 5 kids out of school and transfer them across the world? That is really tough to do in and of itself, besides the fact that you don't know English.
Well, another part of it is if you've ever seen any movie in a situation like this, whether it's like in World War II when people saw what was coming there, they knew the walls are closing in. But some people have such strong principles that they're like, if we leave, they win, basically. They feel such a personal connection to where they are, and they don't want to leave their home to be destroyed by these people.
Yeah, basically,
so they would
fuck
rather,
them.
Yeah, they would rather stay, and whatever happens, happens. You know, that's sometimes what it is. It's all about principle. And they show the couple at the beginning having the conversation. She says, you know, they want to go to London and they want us to come with. And I think we should talk about it. And he says, okay, maybe, but you know, we're building this house and we're putting down roots, and he's making these reasons. But I think what it really is that we don't know at this point is he's got other business that he has to attend to.
Yeah, he's got his tendrils into this whole underground world that the family has no idea about. Even the wife doesn't know anything about it.
Because he's trying to protect her and he's trying to protect the whole family.
Yeah, and I think once she finds out about that, she is, appreciative of what he was doing after the fact, but still, he is kind of putting them in danger by doing it at all.
But it also kind of seems like, regardless of the fact that they genuinely know nothing because he protected them, those people don't give a fuck when they arrest them all. Like, they show how this government shakes down a group of teenagers. At the beginning of the movie, their daughter goes to a movie with friends, and they're all just like smoking weed and driving down the road and having a great night.
Yeah.
And there's a fucking military blockade shaking down teenagers. And the only reason they really are able to get out of it easy is this girl's like boyfriend or whatever he is. His dad's a lawyer. Like, there's enough, like, something there to get them out of it. But it shakes these kids up, and this just happens. Like, just existing, living under those circumstances. That's a lot to unpack. And then later, when he gets arrested, they straight up arrest their 15-year-old daughter to question her and keep her overnight. That's really fucked up.
Well, and also think about what was happening in the late 60s and early 70s, even in the US. Everywhere. There's this hippie movement. There's this anti-establishment movement against the Vietnam War and just corruption in general in the world. It was a rough fucking time all over the place. And it's the young people who are the most vocal about it and who are the most mobilized about it. On that little sheet of paper where they were kind of cross-referencing all the faces, they're all young people on that thing.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, they were calling them fucking terrorists and shit. And I would say presumably the reason why they let them go because of the lawyer connection is because, hey, they haven't necessarily changed all the laws yet, and they're just going to take advantage of whatever loopholes still exist in the country.
It's all about pressing to see how much you can get away with. And I was,
at this point in the journey, yes.
Reading about this coup and what happened, and they had a new constitution, but it kind of seems like they didn't really have it all laid out. They did it a few times, and it wasn't until 1988 that they finally got the military out of there and reestablished a constitution that was fair. But there was a lot of censorship and paranoia, and people were constantly being disappeared, and nobody knew what was going on, and the government is lying to you because this family shown in this movie, they don't know what happened to him. Her husband, their father, he gets taken in, quote, for questioning. And then a day goes by.
Well,
and then a couple days go by.
They say they want to bring him in for a deposition.
Whatever the fuck that means to them, because they don't give them any details. They just show up one day, don't really identify who they are. They're sort of plainclothes police, basically.
Yeah, and I also think that the husband knows what this is about, but the rest of the family does not.
It's also strange how they say, we're going to sit here with you until he gets back. At what point does that stop being a thing? Because he's not coming back. At a certain point, you know this guy's not coming back if you are those people.
I don't really know what all of that is about. Maybe it's just seeing what they do, seeing if there's going to be any more resistance, seeing if other people show up to the house that they're not expecting. Maybe they're trying to bust some like big ring, but they don't realize it's just him. I don't understand that whole question.
They're just kind of pressuring them. Like, let's just see what happens if we're here. Do they act weird? Do they make a strange decision?
Yeah.
What happens? And after like a couple of days, they bring in mom and the daughter for questioning too, because the oldest daughter, who might actually know something, she's in London, so she's not there. So let's ask the next daughter instead. And they're straight up torturing these people. Like, not in the same sense they're not being beaten, but like they made them put hoods on and they don't know where they are. And the first thing the cop or whoever he is smoking a cigarette tells her, oh yeah, sorry about the hood. The fuck you are. You handcuff her and you keep her in this place. And
you
just
take her away from her family, her children.
You won't let her have a lawyer. You keep shoving a book in her hands saying, identify the people you recognize. And she fucking doesn't recognize anybody. So you keep her longer. And then you just keep doing this until she points at people and slowly like, well, there's my husband's picture. There's my daughter. There's me.
There's the teacher of one of my kids. She's not involved in any of this stuff, but they do have a point here. She is involved somehow.
But it's like psychological torture and that thing of, if we just keep breaking you down, eventually you'll give us the piece of information we want.
And here's the deal about people who are involved in movements, and I don't even know what the hell you call these people, but they're a bunch of fucking dumbasses. There is no organization behind this. There's no fucking point to any of this. It's cruelty for the sake of cruelty. And who the fuck cares who we hurt in the process? There's a goal here, but we don't know how to fucking get there.
And we're just going to keep covering it up and lying and, stonewalling. We're not going to tell anybody anything. But eventually it all comes out. It takes fucking 40 more years before somebody who was in this regime finally fessed up and said, yeah, he died. We tortured him. He died like 3 days in. But we don't know where his body is. Nobody knows where his body is. It's in a mass grave somewhere in the middle of the jungle.
Yeah, they weren't very good record keepers when it came to, how many people did we torture today? Well, it was 82. Well, you got to pump those numbers up. Where did we dump, X number of bodies? Well, we ran out of space over here, so we dug another hole over here. It is just the idiotic nature of these people who come into these situations with zero kind of like training or plan or anything. They just do these things and have no regard for the consequences.
And this is stuff they're doing to their own people.
Yeah.
These are all Brazilian citizens who didn't vote for this, who didn't ask for it, but enough people in positions of authority made it so this group of people is in charge.
What do you think about the kid who was the guard in the prison where she was kept and said to her, just so you know, I don't agree with this? What's the deal there?
It feels like there are certain people who just are going along with it because they're already there. We talked about this recently. We watched Judgment in Nuremberg for our Patreon, and it's that thing of, I'm just doing my job. If he's in there, what's he gonna do? His choices are to fucking flee the country, because if he is insubordinate, they could, court-martial him, and they'll probably do worse to him because he's one of them.
It's the same thing. I mean, we talked about it in that episode of Judgment at Nuremberg, where the people in the country where this is happening don't really know what the fuck is going on. But everywhere else, like the eldest daughter in London, she's getting news reports about her own father. Her father's name is in the paper. And the parents haven't told her what's going on, but none of it is actually being reported in Brazil.
Because they have control of the media and they have control over censoring what goes out. When they're trying to get the word out about her husband's disappearance and trying to get anybody to give them some information, they say, oh, well, we'll call this paper. Well, no, we can't use them because they're tied to the government and they'll
Right.
only print what the government wants them to print.
Right. So there's like a tabloid paper that they finally go to right before they leave for Sao Paulo, where the mother gets interviewed asking, okay, this is what's actually going on here. This is the story of my husband. This is the story of my family. Here's the photo of me and my family looking happy because fuck you. That's why.
You didn't break us. We're still around and we're not going away. We are going to hound you every day until we get some answers. Because imagine being in that situation where if I was just at home with you some sunny Saturday morning or some holiday, they say it's a holiday, and someone knocks on the door and takes you away, and I literally never see you again. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
that's
would
the
need
thing,
some
though.
fucking closure.
That's the thing, though. They're not like dragging me out by my hair. They're not hitting me. They're not doing anything.
They're not
just
formally arresting you.
They don't even identify who the fuck they are or who they're with. They just show up wearing whatever they're wearing. No official identification whatsoever, but they got guns. That's enough.
They're not driving police cars. They're not.
No, they have him get in his own car.
Yeah, he drives himself.
He drives himself.
They make it look so like, oh, it's fine. It's no big deal. He drove himself. They won't officially say he got arrested. There's no record of him being arrested.
Yeah.
Oh, he
trying to make it look
escaped.
legit.
And they keep making new stories. He escaped. There was this military action and he was killed in combat. Like every time they get a piece of information, it's just some more bullshit.
Yeah. And finally, she finds out from the friend that, yes, indeed, he is dead.
Someone on the inside gave us enough information to say, this man is not alive anymore.
Yeah, through whatever means that they have to go through, whatever the timeline is, where it happened, when it doesn't matter. He ain't coming home. And that's really what it took for her to say, okay, I'm still not going to talk about it with my kids. I'm not going to tell them that daddy isn't never coming home. But that's enough. We can sell the house. We're going to scrap the plans to build a new house. And when they sold the house, they had to do it without the deed. So basically, somebody is taking it over and renting it out. So it's not exactly legit. And she didn't get the same amount of money that she would have otherwise.
This is another thing that they don't go into great detail, but if you have a little knowledge of what it was like to be a woman in the 1970s,
yeah, that too.
You would know you could kind of do fuck all without your husband. You couldn't have your own bank account in a lot of places. You certainly couldn't have a credit card. You had to have a cosigner for everything. Women were not independent.
And this is in the U.S. as well.
Like a lot of places.
Yeah.
A lot of places.
Yeah.
So in this country, everything's in her husband's name. So she just straight up doesn't have any money.
She can't get access to the money that is in their account without the husband say so.
Yeah, she can't withdraw it. She can't do anything other than like write a check if her name is on the check.
Yeah, so they have to go around the law and sell the house to another person who is going to give her some money for it, but not market value for the house, and take whatever money that she has and pays the back wages for their housekeeper and says goodbye, and you take whatever money's left and move to Sao Paulo.
And this is just to survive because she clearly doesn't work at the beginning of the movie. She just, takes care of the family. So she has to get a job. She has to make money. These people are not going to see their dad until who knows when, if ever. And at some point, I think they kind of accept they're not going to see this man again. And they address that. Like, there's that moment when we jump to the future, and it's the two youngest kids that we focus on, the ones that are always there, but mom is really careful not to talk about this in front of them. And they're the ones that explicitly say when she gets out of the room, because we finally got a death certificate for dad. This is a big fucking deal.
Yeah, this is the acknowledgement that, yes, he is dead, and this is officially from the new government.
And we can close everything that has been out there overhanging us for 25 years. And they ask each other the question, when did you bury dad?
Yeah, I really like this moment.
Metaphorically, when did you, as a child or as a teen or as an adult, when was the moment that you finally realized he wasn't coming home? because she wasn't sitting them down telling them that. I think she still had hope that maybe we'd get some resolution of some kind. But the son says, I think about a year and a half in, when mom started getting rid of his clothes.
Yeah, when mom started to donate all of dad's clothes, that was the end of it. And the daughter said, as soon as we left the house, when we moved away from Rio, is when I knew that he wasn't coming back. Because even at the moment, I think it was even the daughter said, well, what happens when he comes home and we're not here? Because they still have it in their head. And that's just so sad. They have it in their head that, yeah, daddy's off on a work trip. Daddy's off doing something else. And he'll be back eventually.
How do you have that conversation with a kid? Oh, by the way, our government kidnapped your father and we don't know where he is.
Right.
They probably killed him.
How do you answer that question at all? That number one, he isn't coming home. Number two, how he was disappeared. And three, why?
Yeah, that's a lot of topics to try to unpack for kids who are like less than 10 years old. And meanwhile, you're just trying to keep your shit together.
Yeah, it's hard enough to explain death to a kid that young sometimes.
Especially an abstract concept where we assume he's dead.
Yeah.
But we can't prove it and no one's going to help us prove it.
Yeah.
And even to this day, they've never found his body.
Right.
We're 50 years plus removed from the events of this movie, and they have still never been able to get final full closure with a physical body.
Yeah, and that's what makes that question that much more powerful when the two kids in the future are asking each other, when did you bury him? Which is to say, put it in the back of your mind that he ain't coming back ever. And just accept that. But, all right, before we move on, we need to take a quick break for a word from our sponsor. We'll be right back.
Critics everywhere are raving about patreon.com/neverseenitpod. Superfan Stephanie says, all this for $5 a month? Incredible. Phineas Butterfield of the New England Journal of Medicine calls it available content. Betsy's grandma says, what's a podcast? Don't miss your chance to experience this phenomenon. Join today.
So I think it kind of goes without saying that this movie is kind of hard to cover in that not a lot happens. We've kind of covered what happens in the movie. There's no action to this movie. It is not even a drama per se. It is just the story of this family and not even the things that they're going through because the mother isn't addressing it with the kids are just living their lives like normal.
It's always there in the background, but she just keeps existing and keeps propelling forward. We don't even get a whole lot of her struggle, like scenes of her confronting people saying, give me some answers. I need this. She's just quietly like putting things together. Here's a clip book of all the articles. I'm reading the legalese that I don't understand. And then she becomes a lawyer. Like we kind of jump a little bit. Oh, we're moving to Sao Paulo. Why? Because I'm going back to college. Cut to 25 years later. Like genuinely, we don't know what she did in that in-between time. And what she was doing was just being persistent with the government. And the more she learned and went to law school and got a degree and became a real activist.
Yeah, she's an activist. I think she's also a professor here talking about people coming in and being land grabbers, she calls them. People coming in to take land in order to do like deforestation and shit.
Yeah, from indigenous people who live there.
Yeah,
that's like her specialty. But again, we're just kind of glossing over that. The only other thing in this sequence of the movie, this next chapter in 1996, is the stuff with her kids. We find out that the son was in an accident. Again, they don't really address what happened. He just shows up as an adult and he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, they barely address it here, but apparently at an early age, he gets into an accident and becomes a paraplegic, and he writes a book about it. And people like recognize him on the street because of what happened to him. He becomes famous. He becomes a famous author
And then, of course, he wrote I'm Still Here, which is what this movie is based on.
Yeah. And
so it's important to include
yeah,
it. But
my understanding here going in was she was the one who wrote the book, but no, it's the son.
And the only other thing that happens in this chapter of the movie is they get the death certificate and then jump ahead again. And now she's an old woman and she's got Alzheimer's and the family is just all grown up. There's grandkids. Everybody's really happy. And I think it's just to show that despite what these people did to this family, what they tortured this poor woman by locking her up for no reason for 15 days. They gave her no information for the last 40 years of her life. Her kids grew up happy. They have refused to stop smiling. Like they recreate that moment again where they're like, smile, everybody fucking smile in this picture because we're not broken. We're still here. And even though mom has Alzheimer's, she's watching TV and there's that moment where they're talking about the events of the dictatorship.
Yeah, she perks up.
She perks up. This woman who barely knows what's going on hears her husband's name and sees his face. And there's this moment of recognition.
Yeah, and I think the filmmakers here go out of their way to make it seem like this family is fucking strong because of the mother. And it is the parents who instilled in these kids the family values. They're always going to have dinner together at the table, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're going to have your meals at the table as a family. And they also instill the idea of take fucking photos. Take all the photos that you can, take all the video that you can so that you can look back on these moments and just marvel at how far we've come.
Document. Just somehow document what you're going through. And she's documenting the bad shit, even though she doesn't talk about it. And they're all documenting the good shit. We have boxes and boxes of photos and happier times. And they still get to have those happy times, despite the fact that this happened to them as a family. They lost their father and don't ever really know what happened to him. And of course, I'm Still Here. It has a lot of meanings, that title. I think part of it is Dad. Dad is still here.
Yeah.
He lives on for all of them because they have never given up hope that they're going to get some closure on this.
Yeah, throughout the movie, I was trying to think of, okay, what are they really getting at here with the title? Is it the dad? Is it the mom? Is it the old mom because she's got Alzheimer's and her presence is still very much felt because of the imprint that she put on all the kids? Like, what is it? I think it's a lot of things.
I think it also applies to every member of that family. Every single person in this unit
totally
survived this ordeal. They made
and they're
it through.
Closer because of it.
Yeah.
It's strange, but it's true.
You all thought that your horrific treatment of your people in this country could break us all, that you would make us stop, that you would make us give up and lose hope. But no, we're still here and we're going to keep fighting and we are not going to stop fighting until we get answers. And it takes 25 years to get a death certificate. Like, come on, that's a lot of persistence. Most people would not spend that amount of time getting that closure. Most people would have given up a long time ago.
You're right. All right, I think we can probably start wrapping up here. There are some things that I wanted to mention here, but I know there's some stuff that you had too, so why don't you go first?
I want to talk about how this movie looks. Like, it feels really, at times, very genuinely 1970.
Yeah.
The production design on this movie is pretty phenomenal. Like, interspersing the footage, like the girls running around with a little handheld camera, that's easy to do. What's not easy to do is get the fucking plates with the floral patterns and everybody's wearing these really 1970s outfits and every fucking car on the street. It's so detailed. This whole movie.
Yeah, it nails the vibe of the 70s. It nails the look of everything down to the fucking parquet floors in the house and all of the adornments on the wall and the wallpaper. And this just literally came out of the 1970s. It's crazy how good this looks.
All the kids' bedrooms, the walls are covered every inch with, the shit the girls would have cut out of magazines and pasted
Totally.
onto the walls.
Totally. And
The
all these girls are
jewelry,
obsessed with the Beatles.
the suitcases, the cameras, the furniture.
The suitcases, I made sure to really, I wrote down a specific thing about the suitcases. It's so accurate because my fucking family, my parents had suitcases just like that when they got married. It was when they bought them.
Yeah, they did a really, really good job making this feel like 1970.
And just a minor thing I wanted to add on to that is when all of these goons come over to the house to kidnap him for the first time, they're so hospitable that they ask him, "Do you want lunch? Can I get you something?"
We're all here.
Everybody
What do you need?
is so welcoming to these fucking strangers holding guns in their house. It's such a normal thing to have people over for them that they can't help themselves but be hospitable.
It's also living under this kind of a regime. This has already been 6 years. It's just a part of life. And there's no point in making a scene because most of these people probably who are over here don't actually know that much. These are the peons. These are just the guys who are doing the grunt work. And there's no real reason to start a fight with them because they don't know much more than you do.
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to mention, we haven't talked that much about Fernanda Torres. Holy shit. I can see why she got nominated for Best Actress for sure. I'm not sure if I'm buying her winning this, however, but I wanted to talk about a couple of different moments with just her. The one that really stuck with me is when they put her under the lights in this interrogation room and they take the hood off of her and she's looking around the room to look at these guys around her. She looks terrified, but not for herself. She's terrified for her daughter. She's terrified for the kids still at home. She's just, I can see it on her face.
And the longer she's there, the quicker you see her kind of breaking down, but she's not physically breaking down. You just see the wheels turning in her head as she's pacing around this teeny tiny cell.
And after she gets released, this is the other one I wanted to mention. After she gets released, she goes home. She doesn't wake up the kids. She goes and takes a shower because she hasn't showered in 2 weeks. She's been living in the same clothes for 2 weeks. You're probably fucking reeking at this point. But she gets out of the shower, she wraps herself in a towel, and the one daughter comes in, gives her a big hug, and asks the question, "What's going on?" And
Where were you?
You could apply this to so many different things. What happened with you? What is going on with Dad? What's going on with all these people around us? What is going on in our country? What is going on? It is such an innocent question to come out of a child. And there's no person that you could get that answer from but your parents cannot tell you.
Because they don't know any more than you do.
No.
And then mom doesn't wake up the kids. This is the kind of thing where, again, she could have just woken all those children up and been like, "I'm home. Make it all about me." But she doesn't make it about her.
No.
She lets her kids sleep. She takes a shower and she goes the fuck to bed.
And the kid even says, "Can I make you something for food?"
Nope.
No. I'm going to wake up with everybody else. We're going to have breakfast like it's any other day.
Just let me sleep a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not going to make a big deal out of
I'm
this.
not going to. And they just get on with life.
Yeah, and she is just the best mother. More than being a good wife, more than being a good citizen, she's just a great mother.
What do you need, kids, in this moment? You want to borrow my coat? Here you go. You left it? That's fine. Let's not.
They need it more in London than we do in Sao Paulo.
Yeah. When the dog dies and this is the one moment where she's like, fuck everything. Fuck this situation. These guys are just going to sit around my house. And they did this. They were under surveillance for over a decade after these events. They just were constantly at their house. That would drive anybody insane. And she finally is like, fuck you. You just watched somebody run over my dog and drive away. Get the fuck off of my street.
Yeah.
I have had it with you
This
today.
is really the only emotion that she is allowing herself to have in the course of this entire movie, except for when the friend comes over and tells her, your husband is dead, for sure. And even then, she stifles it. And when the kid comes in to ask, have you been crying? Oh, no.
Nope.
Nope.
It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it someday.
There's so much pent up in her, and she never lets it out. She lets it out in the way that she is just a pain in the ass of the Brazilian government, basically for the rest of her life.
And we could have made a movie all about that and ignored the family. So I think that's the whole thing that we have to take away from this is it's not the battle. We don't need to see in this movie the battle that she had with the government. What's more important is she kept doing her job, which is mom. That was her first job. And that's what this movie is more about, is how she dealt with this side of it, the personal stuff, and the rest of it also was happening. But look, I still managed all of this, even with this going on.
And my kids still turned out great. That is, if there's nothing else to be proud of, she can be proud about that.
Definitely.
All right. That is going to be the end of I'm Still Here, folks. That is our 10th movie of 10. We're done.
That's a lot of movies.
That's a lot of movies. And this is, again, this is the 5th year in a row we're doing this. And I'll be honest, some years I'm hoping that they only do 8 or 9 or 7 or whatever it is.
Just because we can go up to 10 doesn't mean we always have to. Because sometimes it feels like we're just shoving some in there. Some years.
Yeah, suffice it to say, the 10 sometimes gets to be a little much. But anyway, if you would like to tell us what you thought about the 10 Best Picture nominees this year, please email us neverseenitpod@gmail.com. Do what our superfan Stephanie has been doing, sending us emails about a couple of them I'm going to read right now. First one from Stephanie is about Conclave. She says, "This movie was great. I only have one complaint that I will get to later. The cast was phenomenal. The music had me so tense. The script got me to actually care about a bunch of old Catholics. It is a political thriller with priests." I agree that I was waiting for someone to emerge as an underhanded mastermind. I thought for sure Stanley Tucci was going to turn out to be a villain. Instead, I kind of think it was the dead Pope. Not that he was a villain per se, but more of a mastermind from beyond the grave.
Ooh, spooky.
I do not think anyone killed him, however, but maybe he was stressed and worked up from dismissing John Lithgow that he pushed his failing heart over the edge. In regards to the new Pope, I was also wondering if he was going to be revealed as the master manipulator. But I was not expecting the big reveal, and honestly, I didn't really like it. I get what they were going for, and I don't think that they were trying to be overly political, but I felt like it would have been more fun if Ralph Fiennes had been duped the whole time. Instead, no one is that bad, and that disappointed me for some reason. Maybe I need to pray on that. No, they're all cardinals. They're all fucking boring-ass Catholic cardinals.
I wouldn't go so far as to say they're boring. They're just maybe not the people you want to be the Pope.
Or at least not in a movie like this.
Not in the movie like this.
I'm kind of with Stephanie here, and the way they're presenting everything, the way the music is really amping everything up, the score is phenomenal in that movie.
It is a political thriller without being that.
Go and watch Conclave if you haven't already. It's not what you think it is. It's not just a bunch of fucking Catholics and the Pope and everything like that. It is a political thriller that just happens to be in this thing.
In this world.
Back to the email. As for Oscars, Ralph Fiennes was fantastic. The screenplay was really, really good. And this might be my favorite Best Picture nominee so far. Isabella Rossellini was fine, but I don't know if she should get an Oscar for it. Stanley Tucci was robbed. I love him and he was fantastic. I agree with you. I said as much in the episode. I think Stanley Tucci deserved it.
When I go and do my review for the special, I'll see how I'm feeling about all the people who got in and if I agree with that sentiment. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
But I do love good things for Stanley Tucci.
Indeed. She says, my husband is out of town again, so that means I get to watch more Oscar nominations. So prepare yourself for more emails. Love you guys from Superfan Stephanie. All right, one more from Stephanie. About The Substance. I loved this movie. I think most people can relate to being disgusted by yourself at one time or another. Women especially have the added pressure to maintain a certain level of attractiveness, which can lead to self-abuse when those standards are not met. This movie shoves it in your face, then distorts that face until the Eliza Sue monster comes out and its boobs fall off. Spoilers for the substance, I guess. I agree with Trent that Sue and Elizabeth share a consciousness, but there are gaps in the knowledge. Probably self-inflicted or subconscious to where they don't necessarily remember what the other one is doing, but it seems like they have a general feeling. Yeah. The more I thought about that, the more I thought I was right. The performances were so good. Give Demi Moore all the Oscars. The writing is great. The direction is great. There are some super striking shots that will really stick with you. Then the special effects and the body horror stuff is pretty intense too. Love, Superfan Stephanie.
I figured that would be a kind of movie that she would enjoy.
I was thinking the same thing.
I have another friend who is working through the Best Picture nominees, and she's still on the fence, leaning towards probably not going to watch The Substance just because body horror.
Yeah, I think the body horror is kind of putting her off.
If I had time, I would love to watch it and just get the timestamps. Like, can you watch this movie, but skip ahead like 30 seconds here and 2 minutes there and actually be able to watch it? Because there is a message there and it's really a compelling movie, but can you do it without the creepy shit? I don't know, because I really want, for completionist's sake, for people to see this movie. But I get it. If body horror is definitely not your thing, what's your threshold of tolerance?
I don't even know if it's that bad of body horror, to be honest. Now that I've seen it, I don't think it's that bad, but maybe I'm just fucked up. I don't know.
I think people who like body horror probably are inherently fucked
I honestly
up.
don't know what I am, Betsy. We don't cover a lot of those movies, but you know what you can do, guys. You can go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod, where we have a brand new show. Betsy, tell them about the new show.
We're doing Never Scream It year round with Never Scream It 101, where we are watching horror movies. And we are learning more about this genre. So I'm sure body horror is going to make an appearance at some point.
Definitely. So far, we have covered The Blair Witch Project, 28 Days Later, and next month is going to be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one from 1974. So come check us out over on Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to every single piece of content that we have over there. It's a hell of a lot of fun over there. But with that, Betsy, we're done with all 10 Oscar movies. Next week is going to be our Oscar special. It's always one of our favorite things to do every single year.
It is our 5th annual Oscar special because we started this podcast with Oscar.
Yeah, and if you haven't listened to any of the Oscar specials, number one, how dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you? But go back and listen to all of the other specials we've done. They're all still available on this same feed. We will be ranking from 1 to 10. This is Betsy's least favorite thing to do.
I hate ranking things. I just want everyone to get along and get a prize.
No, 1 through 10, we are ranking every single Oscar-nominated movie for Best Picture. We're also going to talk about some of the other categories, but that's not really what you're coming there for. So come back next week. Another episode of Never Seen It coming at you. Oscar special next week. But until then, my name is Trent.
My name is Betsy.
We'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.